Hi, I'm Rayma.
And I'm Andrea.
And this is Mile High Murder. We are just slightly obsessed with true crime. We text each other when new missing persons cases are unfolding. We add each other to Facebook sleuth groups and definitely feel like we have solved the cases before anyone else. We aren't creepy, I promise.
I'm sorry. That was dumb.
It's fine, I'm just gonna laugh.
I'm ready, sorry. Hey. Too hyper? You guys, this is the third time we've tried to record this freaking episode.
Just
roll with it. I don't care.
Just the beginning of it.
Whatever.
So hey, it's Mile High Murder. We're here to talk
About
murder. Today's episode, I have found information on Denver, CBSLocal.com, Canyon City Daily Record, Reddit, True Crime Garage podcast.
Yes. I love that podcast.
Yeah. And the Pueblo Chieftain, as well as WebSleuths.
Oh.
Down that rabbit hole.
That's one
That
of those
one
ones where
took
I'm
me.
like, I'll just stay up all night.
I'll just say, well, I mean, I stayed up a long time.
I know. I saw you really active on Facebook in the middle of the night.
And texting you like, wake up, Andrea.
No.
WebSleuths took me down quite the rabbit hole for this one, and I'm really excited to go there with you guys.
Yay,
because
okay.
I'm going to take you with me.
Okay, I'm going.
Okay, but we'll start here
Okay.
with the murder of Candace Hiltz.
Okay.
So Candace Hiltz was a 17-year-old living in the Copper Gulch area, 20 minutes outside of Canyon City, Colorado, in Fremont County.
I haven't been there.
I have not been there either.
That's like southern Colorado, right? Like near
Yeah, it's
Pueblo?
near Pueblo.
Okay.
Ish.
Got it.
She was described by her family as being smart, funny, and outspoken. She was the type of person.
Sane.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So she's just like Andrea. She's the type of person that would stick up for her friends if someone was bullying them. And she had a lot of drive. At just 16 years old, she was a junior at BYU College online and planned to go to Stanford Law with hopes of becoming a Supreme Court justice.
Whoa.
I know. She's pretty cool.
She's rad.
Yeah. So she just had a heart to see, just justice happen, and which I think is awesome. So that same year at 16 years old, she became pregnant. And later that year had her baby girl, who she named Paige. But Paige was born with hydrocephalus.
No.
Yeah. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically a condition where
Water on the brain.
Yeah, brain has excess fluid.
Aw.
And so they basically told her she wasn't going to live very long, and they just had no idea how long that they'd have with her.
Yeah.
So as a 16-year-old who got pregnant, so
Insane.
a 17-year-old mothering this baby that might
Especially
not live
needs
very
baby.
long. Yeah.
Oh, honey.
So she lived with her mom, Dolores, and Candace actually had 9 older brothers.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Her dad died when she was 5.
No.
Yeah. So she didn't really have very many memories of him, but she had these older brothers, and I actually couldn't, in any of like the reports I looked into, couldn't figure out who all she actually lived with. I know her mom and a couple of her brothers, but I don't think it was all 9 of them at the moment. So on August 10th, 2006, Sheriff's Deputy Lieutenant Detective Robert Dodd and Sheriff's Deputy, Lieutenant Bruce Briscoe, which is also just his name is a mouthful, Bruce Briscoe.
I wish my last name was Briscoe.
It sounds so official.
Sounds like brisket. I'm hungry.
That's why you wish your last name was Briscoe.
I guess it could just be brisket and I'd be happy.
I realize that we find people's names very funny. Like, a lot of times we're like, oh, that name. That's a funny name.
Do.
So
I make fun of my name all the time, so whatever.
yeah. I make fun of your name all the time, too. Just kidding. I don't. So anyways, they were sheriff's deputy lieutenants from the Fremont County Sheriff's Office. They visited the Hiltz home to question Candace's brother, James, about a trespassing incident that he was suspected for. James, who is 28, was living with the mom.
Dolores.
Yes. And she referred to him as having an extreme social anxiety. So I've never heard of like something as severe as what this sounded like, but he was had such a phobia of people that he didn't even want to be around his family. Like he just wanted nothing to do with people. So though he was like, quote unquote, his address was his mom's house, he actually lived in a tent, like in the woods, because they lived out in the middle of nowhere.
This sounds like a personality disorder.
I don't know, but we'll get into that a little bit. Not much. We'll get into it a little bit.
Okay.
But
I ain't living in no tent.
Right? So they came to question him, but he wasn't there. And according to Dolores,
He wasn't in his tent.
well, he wasn't. They didn't. I guess she didn't even know where his tent was. She just knew that he lived in a tent out in the woods behind them. So she wasn't able to direct them even where to go.
I don't think so.
I don't know. According to Dolores,
So sorry.
during the conversation, Candace was not happy with how Deputy Dodd was treating and speaking to her mom, and she started yelling at him. She allegedly called him out on seeing him accepting envelopes of cash from a well-known drug dealer in the area, and that she threatened to report him. Yeah.
My eyeballs are so big right now.
Yeah. So, this whole yeah, your eyeballs are really big. This whole confrontation ended with the Deputy Dodd basically saying like, well, if you don't stop yelling at me, I'm going to arrest you. And she basically threw up her hands and was like, well, arrest me then. And it kind of ended with like, he wasn't really going to. And he left kind of mad, and James wasn't there, so he just left.
Okay.
As well as Bruce Briscoe.
Bruce Brisket.
Bruce Briscoe. So a few days later, the family's dog Jackson went missing. And apparently, yeah, right. It is. Apparently, I mean, them living out kind of in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't like odd that the dog would like be gone for a while, but it was enough that they like noted like, we haven't seen the dog in a while. And it actually, Dolores was kind of shaken from like this argument that her daughter had, and then this dog goes missing. And so she's just kind of like on edge. And on August 15th, she leaves the home at around 12 o'clock to run some errands. But again, she just felt kind of on edge. So she she left Candace and Paige at home. Oh, and by this time, Paige is 11 months old. Okay. So while Dolores was away, she was just like, I think something's wrong. She calls her neighbor and asks the neighbor to go check on her daughter. And the neighbor entered the home.
She just like had this intuition.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I don't know if like other things were happening or
maybe.
Again, I don't know much about this sheriff's deputy.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was one of those things where like people kind of were afraid of them because maybe there were shady things happening
for accepting bribes.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I think I'd be a little nervous too.
Yeah, and if you live in this small town and stuff's going on and your daughter did that, you'd be like, okay, like maybe you shouldn't have said that. Like, anyways, so she calls the neighbor. The neighbor enters the home and found Paige alone crying in her crib and blood nearby.
Oh.
But there was actually two different reports on this. One report never talks of the neighbor, so this didn't happen. One report talks of this neighbor coming and this happening, and then him going back, taking Paige, going to his house and calling Dolores to come. And when Dolores enters the home around 3:30, she sees Paige's crib with pools of blood around it. She immediately goes into Candace's room and she finds something large like wrapped in a blanket, shoved under the bed.
Oh my gosh.
So when she unwraps the blanket, she can barely tell that it was Candace because of the gunshot wounds to her head and face.
Whoa.
Yeah. But of course she knows it's Candace.
Oy.
The coroner's report, though, wasn't released until 10 years later, which we'll talk about.
Huh.
Yeah. So the coroner's report stated this, that Candace suffered 7 gunshot wounds.
Whoa, that's overkill.
Yeah. 1 shotgun wound to the face.
Shotgun?
Yeah, to the face. 5 small caliber gunshots to the back of her head. A medium caliber wound to the left chest. And the strangest part to me, or the most like, is that the wounds came from at least 2 different guns. Well, obviously shotgun, but it might have been 3 different guns.
Oh, okay.
So to me, I'm like, that's more than one person.
Multiple suspects.
Yeah. At least.
Unless. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
So when she calls 911, obviously, this 911 call has never been released to the public.
No.
I know.
I want to hear it.
When deputies arrived on the scene, it was the same well, probably more, but at least the same 2 came that were there just 5 days before.
Really?
Deputy Dodd and Deputy Briscoe. Yeah.
Huh.
So they started searching around the home, and they actually ended up finding the family's dog tied to a tree and killed
No!
from a small axe or hatchet.
Ew.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Some people believe that possibly this whole thing was premeditated, that they kidnapped the dog so that the dog wouldn't
attack
bark.
them or something.
Yeah.
Right.
So they immediately named her brother James as a person of interest in the case and started a 3-day manhunt. Fremont County brought in Canyon City Police, Custer County Sheriff, and Colorado Springs Police to assist in finding James.
Do you think it's kind of a leap
To
suspect the brother?
I think yes.
Okay, I think so too.
He was, they just wanted him originally on trespassing charges.
Right, and now they're like,
Oh, he
just
did,
kidding, you
yeah.
murdered your sister.
I'm thinking he's obviously someone living with a mental illness, and it is strange. People don't understand it. So maybe it was that, or maybe it was something else. So, the manhunt ended without incident on August 18th, and they charged James with an unrelated burglary charge, unrelated to Candace's incident.
Okay.
The burglary charge
it's hard
from
for you to
before.
say.
That's not, yeah. At least it's not rural. Hey, I said that.
Never again.
So after several mental health evaluations and court proceedings, James Hiltz was found not guilty by reason of insanity in connection with the burglary charges. And he was committed to the Colorado Mental Health Institute at Pueblo in 2008.
Oh.
So
that's probably good.
He really was living with this not crazy, but this mental thing going on that. Yeah.
Wow, that's so sad.
So he was never charged with his sister's murder. The case went cold for 10 years.
I don't think he did it.
Yeah. I agree with you. I don't think he did it either.
Okay.
So and a lot of his family said that they just don't think that there's any way he did it. The case went cold for 10 years until December 17th, 2016, when Rick Ratzlaff purchased the contents of a storage unit in Canyon City that was auctioned off after the owner failed to pay the rental fees. So inside this storage unit, he found manila envelopes labeled evidence and marked with the case number.
Uh-oh.
When he looked inside, he found a bloody rope, 2 socks soaked in blood, and a bloody chrome axe.
Holy crap.
He also found lights and sirens and a sheriff uniform with the name tag on it, Deputy Dodd.
No!
So Rick Ratzlaff not only called the sheriff's office to report this, but he also called the news media. And that tells me he didn't trust the sheriff's office.
No kidding.
So he knew he needed to report it right away. So I don't know. I don't live in this county. I don't know what's going on there, but obviously
Something's not right.
Something's not right. On January 14th, 2017, Robert Dodd was placed on routine administrative leave, and the CBI opened a case. Fremont County Sheriff's Office said they would not comment until the CBI had completed their investigation. So here's a lot of dates for you. On January 25th, 2017, the family requested Candace's autopsy report be released, and it finally was granted to them. So that's when it was finally released. Wow. So they had no answers.
Didn't know how she died.
No answers. Another thing that that Dolores, her mother, has claimed, and really it was a little bit of she said, they haven't released any of the case files for this since it's still an ongoing investigation.
Sure.
And so because of that, a lot of it I couldn't verify, so I didn't quite put it in here. But some of the things she talked about was that they didn't rope off the crime scene. Wow. And that there was evidence actually that they didn't take from the scene. And so she just believes they completely botched the case altogether. And then this happening.
Proper.
Right. So she wasn't happy with how it went down, and just having no answers for 10 years must have been frustrating. So on April 23rd, 2017, Robert Dodd retired from the Fremont County Sheriff's Office. Good. On May 4th, 2017, the District Attorney's Office files charges against Dodd, which include 2 counts of second-degree official misconduct and abuse of public records. On May 18th, 2017, more discarded evidence was found in the Penrose landfill.
My gosh.
This evidence included a computer, an envelope marked evidence that contained a DVD, a videotape labeled as containing a sexual assault investigation interview, and a tackle box that was marked FCSO Crime Scene Unit Forensic Lights. Then this was all in the Daily Record, so you can go and read this in the Canyon City Daily Record. Dodd was found guilty by a jury June 28th on 3 of 4 counts relating to the possession of murder evidence in a personal storage unit. He was found guilty of abuse of public records, a misdemeanor, and a second-degree official misconduct. Refrain from duty and second-degree official misconduct violating statute, both petty offenses. So, he was found not guilty for criminal possession of an identification document. Fremont County Judge Norm Cooling denied probation on all counts and sentenced Dodd to 180 days for the misdemeanor, with 165 of those days suspended, and he imposed a fine of $500. Additionally, a fine of $250 was imposed for each of the petty offenses.
That's it?
That's it. And that's pretty normal.
I mean, they're petty offenses.
Yeah,
I know,
that's pretty normal. I feel like that's pretty crazy that you can take evidence from a
and that's all you get. You get a slap on the wrist.
You get a slap on the wrist, and that's pretty normal.
That's tampering with evidence.
Yeah.
Like, that's a...
Right. That's what
isn't
I think.
That a felony?
That's what I think, too. But I don't know if it's different because he had the right to have the evidence.
But he had it in a personal, like, storage unit.
Right. And it kind of just depends on, like... Obviously, it's, like, not okay he did that. Like,
and wouldn't it be also obstruction of justice?
I would think. One would think.
Okay.
But I mean, obviously, too, he did lose his job over it. His lawyer also claimed, like, he moved to Texas and he claimed that he kept losing, like, the jobs he got there as well because of the media.
Just don't commit crimes.
Yeah. So in August 2018, Fremont County Sheriff Jim Biker resigned from his elected position. And apparently it was like no connection to this, but I don't know about that.
That sounds a little fishy.
Yeah. So the Canyon City Daily Record requested the 911 call and the incident and police reports. And so they made the request under the Colorado Open Records Act, which we've actually talked about with some of you have at our live show talked to us about, like, you know, how can I get information on this case or whatever. Mm-hmm. And there is the Colorado Open Records Act and the Colorado Criminal Justice Records Act, which actually states that arrest and indictment information, case dispositions, and judicial determination are all public records and can be released as long as the release doesn't interfere with an ongoing investigation. So they are supposed to be public record, but they got denied.
But if it's an ongoing investigation, you can't.
Yeah, they got denied them because of that.
Right.
So the only thing that they were granted was the autopsy report. So that is kind of the end of that story.
Okay.
But I went down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
And I found out some interesting information about Fremont County that some of you that have, like, grown up around here maybe have heard of Fremont County for one reason. Do you know what that is?
Supermax.
Yeah, the Supermax prison. So I found out, and I, of course, like, I've lived here most of my life and since I was 3. And I knew we had the Supermax, but I had no idea that we had... So Fremont County is known as Colorado's correctional capital.
What?
And it has 14 prisons in that one county. Yeah.
No, I don't want to live there.
So this following information was found on Fremont co.com, which is probably fremontcounty.com. But Fremont Co. Yeah. So the Federal Correction Complex is in Florence, Colorado, and houses almost 2,900 inmates between 4 prisons.
Good Lord have mercy.
Yeah. The lowest security level institution is in the prison camp. It houses lower level felons whose crimes did not involve serious violence, no weapons used. About 60% of those incarcerated here are drug offenders.
Okay.
I just think this is crazy that this is all in Colorado. Like,
that's not too far from us. That's a lot.
Yeah. Then there is the FCI Florence, or the Federal Correctional Institution. The complex is medium security facility. Prisoners here have slightly more freedom than in high security prisons. There are 2 high security prisons, the U.S. Penn, United States Penitentiary, and Administrative Maximum Penitentiary, or ADX. But we know that as supermax.
Yeah.
These prisoners are either high profile prisoners like Ted Kaczynski, who was...
What?
Yeah.
No.
Or they are high
here?
escape risk like El Chapo, who is currently in the supermax.
That's right.
The rest of the facilities in Fremont County house 4,700 prisoners, or can at maximum, I believe.
Good Lord, that's too many.
So there's the Colorado Territorial Correctional Facility, the Colorado Women's Correctional Facility, East Canyon Correctional Complex consists of Skyline Correctional Center, 4 Mile Correctional Center, Pre-Release Center, Arrowhead Correctional Center, Fremont Correction Facility, Centennial Correctional Facility, and Colorado State Penitentiary.
So what you're saying is that we could do a podcast just on Fremont County.
Yes, absolutely.
Holy crap.
So more than half of the jobs in Fremont County come from the corrections industry.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So
Holy cow.
I don't know if there's a corrupt sheriff's office there. I don't know. But I do know that if you Google some of that stuff, you find a lot of information, and there's a lot going on in Fremont County.
That's insane.
I plan, and I know Audrey is on board, that we are going to cover a few Fremont County
yes, we are.
Cases coming up. And so as I was going down this rabbit hole and looking into Fremont County and thinking, oh my gosh, this place is crazy. There's so many things here. And actually some of the cases were stuff that you, our listeners, have told us about. Some of these cases were like, oh my gosh, I've heard this name.
They're on our list.
They're on our list because you have put them there. I actually found out that Investigation Discovery is doing a TV show that is airing on September 3rd. And it's just a 6-part special. And it's on Fremont County. It's called Valley of the Damned. And it's about certain things that happened in Fremont County. I know, right? So we're going to cover some of those cases and some of the ones that you sent in and anything else we find in this rabbit hole.
So are they only doing 6 cases? Like each episode is 1 case?
I believe so, from what I could find, because they haven't released much about it yet.
Yes, I'm so excited. Yeah, we'll have to watch it together.
I know, we should. I think it's
awesome.
Tuesday nights, September 3rd Tuesday. Yeah, it is, because Monday's the 2nd. Yeah, so it's Tuesday nights and 6-part series. It goes until October 8th. And actually, the case of Candace Hiltz is on October 8th. I found out. I was doing this case and found that out. And I'm like, oh, I'm covering that right now. This is crazy. Same Z's. Anyways,
I was Investigation Discovery.
Me and Investigation Discovery have so much in common.
You do.
We do. So, anyways, I'm pretty excited about that. I hope you guys are excited about that.
Oh, they are. I can tell you. They are.
I can feel it.
Yeah.
Anyways, isn't that crazy? Fremont County, right in our backyard.
I'm speechless.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us every Wednesday for a new case, guys. If you are a fan of Mile High Murder, consider subscribing and writing a review and sharing with your friends. You can also follow us on Instagram at Mile High Murder Podcast or search for our discussion group on Facebook. We're always searching for Colorado cases to cover. If you have a case you're dying for us to share, send us an email at milehighmurderpodcast@gmail.com.